Let me tell you about Maya. She's 34. She works in marketing operations for a mid-sized tech firm. Her base salary is $87,000. Her husband, Alex, is a project manager for a commercial construction company. He makes $92,000. Combined income, $179,000. They have a 3-year-old daughter named Sophie. They have a split level in a suburb with good schools. They have 2 car payments, both at 4.9%. They have a 401k match they both max, at least up to the match, because everyone says that's the baseline. They have a mortgage at 3.8%, locked in right before the hikes. They have a Hulu bundle. They have a weekend rhythm of farmers markets and kids' gymnastics, and one night ordering Thai food because the week was long and neither of them wants to look at the kitchen. On paper, they are the success story. The American century, miniaturized and installed in a 3-bedroom colonial. Last month, the dryer broke. Not the whole dryer, just the heating element. A repair quote of $340. They looked at the budget. They looked at the emergency fund, which was healthy, technically, $5,000. But that fund was supposed to be for something catastrophic, not a drum that won't spin hot. So they put the dryer on a credit card. It was only $340. It wasn't a crisis. It was just friction. A reminder that beneath the surface of $179,000, something wasn't breathing right. Maya told herself it was just a bad month. But she'd told herself that in February, too, and in April. My name is Sadar Hussain, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, responsible people who play by every single rule still end up feeling like they're treading water. Specifically, I think about the $5 habit. Not $5 spent. $5 as a threshold, $5 as a psychological permission slip, $5 as the invisible leak in the hull that the bilge pump can keep up with, so you never actually fix the hole. This isn't a story about bad decisions. Maya and Alex didn't do anything wrong. They didn't buy a boat. They didn't lease a German sedan. They didn't chase meme stocks or finance a timeshare. They did everything right. And the dryer still went on the credit card. To understand why, we have to leave Maya and Alex's kitchen table for a moment and drive backward in time. Not to some golden age, but to a specific ledger. 1971. The Bureau of Labor Statistics that year reported that the average American man in his prime working years earned approximately $9,399 annually. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $62,000 today. The median home price was $25,200, about $165,000 in today's dollars. Now, I'm not here to tell you things were better in 1971. They weren't for a lot of people, but I want you to look at the ratios. In 1971, a single median income bought you approximately 2.7 years of labor for a median home. Today, the median household income hovers around $75,000, and the median home price is over $400,000. That's 5.3 years. The map changed. But here, what didn't change? The advice. The cultural script. The idea that if you get the degree, take the job, contribute to the 401k, you will arrive at a destination called security. We're still navigating with a map from 1971. This isn't a conspiracy. No one sat in a boardroom and decided to make housing 2.6 times more expensive relative to income. It was 1,000 small decisions: zoning laws, construction labor shortages, the financialization of real estate, the shift from pension plans to self-directed investment accounts that needed yield. Not malice, just drift. But drift has a direction. And the direction of the last 50 years is this. The cost of entry into the middle class now requires 2 incomes to accomplish what 1 income used to accomplish. But the definition of middle class, the home, the car, the school district, the summer camp, the retirement, hasn't shrunk to match. It expanded. So the second income didn't become surplus. It became survival. Here is where we meet the first wall of what I've come to call the foundation trap. The foundation trap has 3 walls. The first one is invisible because it looks like love. You want good things for your kid, not extravagant things, just good, a safe neighborhood, a school with art and music, a pediatrician within 20 minutes, maybe a backyard. These are not luxuries. These are baseline human dignities. But baseline human dignities have price tags. And those price tags are now calculated in an auction where the bidders are families with two full-time professional incomes. The family with one income bids $400,000 for the house in the good district. The family with two incomes bids $550,000. The seller takes $550,000. The appraisal validates $550,000. The next house lists at $575,000. No one is being greedy. Everyone is just trying to give their kid a safe backyard. But collectively, the bidding war becomes invisible rent extracted from every future paycheck. This is the first wall. You didn't buy a house. You bought entry to an auction, and the auction house takes its cut every month for 30 years. Maya and Alex didn't overspend on their house. They paid $445,000. In their market, that was below the median. They were disciplined. They didn't stretch. But they stretched relative to 1971. And that stretch requires both of them to keep running indefinitely just to stay in place. Let's look at the math. Not the gross math, the net zero math. Maya earns $87,000. Let's walk her paycheck to the bone. First, the visible deductions. Federal income tax, roughly 12% effective rate. State income tax, another 4.5%. Social Security and Medicare, 7.65%. We're already at 24%. We've vaporized $20,800. Down to $66,200. Now the cost of earning that income. Child care for Sophie is full-time. In their area, a licensed center runs $1,500 a month. That's $18,000 annually. Pre-tax? No, only $5,000 of that is tax-advantaged through a dependent care FSA. The rest is after-tax. Down to $48,200. Commuting, Alex works locally, but Maya has a 40-minute drive each way to the tech campus. Tolls, gas, maintenance, depreciation on the mileage. The IRS reimburses 65.5 cents per mile for a reason. Her annual commute is roughly 11,000 miles. That's $7,000 in true economic cost. Not cash out the door every month, but value leaking from the asset. Down to $41,200. Now the exhaustion economy. Maya and Alex are both depleted by Friday. They are too tired to meal plan effectively, too tired to argue about who should chop the onions, too tired to wait for the slow cooker. So they order in. Not lavish, a Thursday night pizza, a Saturday lunch after Sophie's gymnastics, a Monday panic order because the grocery run didn't happen. Average, $85 a week above their grocery baseline, $4,400 a year. Down to $36,800. Work wardrobe. Maya's office is hybrid but expects camera-ready on in-office days. Not suits but not athleisure. A few sweaters, a few blazers, shoes that don't look tired. Alex needs steel-toe boots for site visits and polos with logos. Call it $1,200 a year for both. Down to $35,600. Professional development. Maya's firm encourages certifications but doesn't pay for them until after you pass. She's studying for a project management credential. Exam fees, study materials, a coffee subscription to the shop near the conference room. $800. Down to $34,800. We haven't even touched the dryer. Maya's $87,000, after the cost of earning it, contributes approximately $35,000 to the household. That's not a second income. That's a second full-time job for the price of lunch money. And here's the part that keeps me awake. If she stopped working tomorrow, they wouldn't just lose the $35,000. They'd also lose the $18,000 in child care expense. So the true net loss of her quitting would be $17,000. $17,000 to have a parent home full-time, to have home-cooked meals, to have a dryer that gets fixed the day it breaks because someone is home to meet the repair tech, to have margin. $17,000. That's less than the cost of a mid-size sedan. That's less than some people spend on vacations. We are asking parents to outsource the raising of their children, exhaust themselves to the point of convenient spending, and participate in a housing auction that requires two incomes, all for a net contribution that, in some households, is functionally negligible. This is not a story about bad decisions. This is a story about invisible math. Which brings us to the second wall of the foundation trap. I call this one the upgrade lock-in. When Maya and Alex qualified for their mortgage, the bank looked at their joint income of $179 and said, yes, you can afford $450. And they could, on paper. But the bank wasn't calculating the exhaustion economy. The bank wasn't calculating the $18,000 in child care. The bank wasn't calculating the career plateau Maya will hit if she can't travel for client work because Sophie has a fever. The bank saw 179 and approved the loan. Maya and Alex saw 179 and thought, we made it. But they didn't buy wealth, they bought obligation. Because here's the quiet math of upgrade lock-in. Once you have the mortgage, the 2 cars, the school district, the rhythm of Friday takeout, you cannot easily downgrade. It's not just that moving costs 6% of the home value. It's that the entire ecosystem is calibrated to your current burn rate. The good school district is also the expensive grocery district. The friends you make at Sophie's preschool invite you to birthday parties at the trampoline park, which costs $30 per child. The social baseline rises. No one is forcing you to keep up, but you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. You're trying to keep up with the life you already built. This is the lock-in. You can't sell the house without disrupting Sophie's school placement. You can't sell one car without reorganizing who drops off and who picks up. You can't cut the takeout budget without adding 30 minutes of cooking to a day that already has 0 minutes of margin. So you keep both jobs, you keep both cars, you keep both incomes. And the second income, the one that was supposed to be the rocket fuel for wealth, becomes the anchor chain for a lifestyle that requires both of you running full tilt just to tread water. I want to pause here and say something directly to Maya. Not the fictional Maya from this script. The real Maya watching this at 10:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, phone brightness turned down so Alex can sleep. You are not failing. You are navigating a system that explains the buttons but refuses to show you the engine. We were taught to budget. We were taught to save. We were taught to invest in index funds and avoid credit card debt. We were taught the curriculum of personal finance. We were not taught the hidden math of the second income. We were not taught that the cost of earning money is not just taxes, but time, exhaustion, convenience premiums, and the slow erosion of optionality. We were not taught that a salary is not the same as surplus. And because we weren't taught, we blamed ourselves. We thought, if we just made a little more, tracked a little closer, tried a little harder, we'd finally feel secure. But you can't budget your way out of a structural trap. You can only redesign the trap. The redesign starts with a single, uncomfortable question. What if the second income isn't for survival? What if the second income is for freedom? This is not a call to quit your job. This is not a manifesto for downsizing to a tiny home and raising goats. This is not about deprivation. This is about clarity. Maya and Alex currently use Maya's income to prop up the floor of their existence. Her salary pays for child care, commuting, and the exhaustion economy, and the remainder gets absorbed into the mortgage, the car payments, the baseline. They are working a full-time job for the privilege of working a full-time job. But what if they flipped the frame? What if they structured their life so that one salary, Alex's, say, covered survival, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, the base model of existence, not deprivation, just survival? And what if Maya's salary, every dollar of it, was deployed not toward the floor, but toward the ceiling? Not paying for child care, paying for future school tuition, invested in a 529. Not absorbed into the mortgage, stacked into a brokerage account, VTI, automated every paycheck. Not leaking out through Thursday night pizza, accumulating in a high-yield account labeled optionality. This is the one-income foundation principle. It doesn't require Maya to quit. It doesn't require Alex to get a promotion. It doesn't require selling the house or moving to a lower-performing school district. It only requires a reallocation of the narrative. Right now, Maya's income is survival fuel. It disappears into the engine and leaves no residue. Under the one-income foundation, Maya's income becomes construction material. It builds something visible, something that compounds, something that in 5 or 10 years becomes a genuine alternative. Let me show you the math of that alternative. Maya's net contribution, after the cost of earning, is approximately $35,000. Under the current model, that $35,000 vanishes into the friction of daily life. It pays for the exhaustion economy. It services the debt incurred when the dryer broke. It props up a standard of living that requires both of them working. But under the redesign, that 35,000 becomes fuel. Let's assume Maya continues to work. But now, the survival floor is Alex's salary. Maya's salary is redirected in full to wealth-building instruments. 35,000 annually, invested in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Historical average return 10%. Year 1, 35,000. Year 5, 234,000. Year 10, 610,000. Year 15, 1,240,000. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that's nearly $50,000 a year in passive income. That's not retirement, that's optionality. That's the ability for Maya to say, I don't need this job to survive. I need this job to build. And when I've built enough, I can stop or slow down or shift to something that doesn't require 40 minutes of commuting and a wardrobe that doesn't breathe. The second income, reimagined, is not a second job. It is a second engine, and engines can be pointed in different directions. This is the third wall of the foundation trap, the belief that the only way out is more. More income, more hours, more promotions, more optimization. But more isn't a strategy, more is a treadmill setting. The real exit is not more, the real exit is margin. Margin is not what's left after you pay your bills. Margin is what's left after you stop confusing achievement with obligation. Maya and Alex have $179,000 of income and approximately $0 of margin. But margin isn't a function of income, it's a function of allocation. If you believe your second income is survival, you will spend it on survival, and you will feel grateful that you can afford survival. If you believe your second income is construction material, you will build with it, and you will feel the weight of the structure slowly transferring from your shoulders to the foundation you laid. This is not about deprivation. This is about distinguishing between the life you need and the life you're building. The life you need is smaller than you think. The life you're building can be larger than you imagined. But only if you stop using the construction materials to patch the roof. Let's return to Maya and Alex. Not the version of them treading water. The version of them 3 years from now who made a different choice. They didn't quit their jobs, they didn't sell the house, they didn't cancel the Hulu bundle. They just asked a different question. Not, how do we afford this month? But, what are we actually buying with this income? They realized that Maya's salary after the cost of earning it was buying them very little. It was buying them a seat at the auction. It was buying them the right to be exhausted together. It was buying them the illusion of forward motion. So they redirected it. Not all at once, not painfully. They automated the transfer. They changed the direct deposit so that Maya's paycheck landed in a brokerage account, not the joint checking. They left the joint checking funded exactly at survival level, Alex's income plus a small buffer. The first month, they felt the pinch. They had to say no to take out twice. They had to delay a non-emergency home repair. They had to explain to Sophie why they weren't doing trampoline park birthday parties this quarter. The second month, the pinch softened. They realized they didn't actually miss the Thursday night pizza. They realized the non-emergency repair could wait. They realized Sophie didn't care about the trampoline park. She cared about the 90 minutes of focused attention from 2 parents who weren't staring at their phones, exhausted. The third month, the margin became visible. Not in the bank account, in their breathing. They had a number now, a real number. $35,000 invested, compounding, pointed at the future, not absorbed into the floor. They still had the mortgage. They still had the car payments. They still had the 1,000 small obligations that constitute a middle-class existence in 2026. But one of those obligations was no longer invisible. The second income was no longer survival. It was construction. You can't unsee the math. Once you trace the second income from gross to net, once you subtract the child care and the commuting and the exhaustion economy, once you realize that some households are working a full-time job for the privilege of breaking even, you can't unsee it. And once you see it, the question changes. It's no longer, how do I make more money? It's, what is this money actually buying me? If the answer is the right to keep working, you have trapped yourself in the foundation trap. You are earning the privilege of continuing to earn. You are running to stay on the same spot on the treadmill. But if the answer is the right to stop working eventually on my terms, you have unlocked something else. Not wealth yet. Optionality. The quiet, invisible muscle that allows you to say no, to downshift, to walk away from a job you hate without walking toward a financial cliff. Optionality is not early retirement. Optionality is early freedom from the fear of the dryer breaking. And optionality is purchased the same way every time. Surplus, invested, compounded, ignored. The dryer broke. That was the inciting incident. That was the moment the leak became visible. Maya and Alex in this alternate timeline didn't put it on the credit card. They didn't have to. The margin they had built, the surplus they had redirected, had grown enough to absorb a $340 repair without touching the emergency fund. It wasn't wealth, not yet, it was just room. Room to breathe, room to choose, room to fix the thing without a ripple. That's what the $5 habit actually costs you. It's not the $5. It's the 1,000 small leaks that you never notice because the pump keeps running. It's the permission you give yourself to ignore the margin because the margin, right now, is positive. But positive margin is not the same as forward motion. And a life spent treading water is still a life spent underwater. My name is Sadar Hussain, and I spend way too much time thinking about why we confuse income with surplus. We chase the raise, we chase the promotion, we chase the second income. We believe implicitly that more money will solve the feeling of not having enough. But more money, allocated to the same system, produces the same result. The system doesn't care how much you earn. The system only cares where you point it. Point it at the floor, and it will hold you up. Point it at the horizon, and it will carry you there. You can't unsee the math. The only question left is whether you use it, or it uses you.